Good afternoon.
First
of all, um, I would like to mute you all people. Sorry for that, because just to keep. Sorry. Right. So the same reason I wanted to mute you all, because there will be lots of interference between the speaks and between the talks. Yeah. Sorry. First of all, I'm Dr. Biju Perikatra. I'm the president of UUKMA, and this is the third series of UUKMA Career Guidance, which we initially started with medical admission and then dental admission, and this is the much awaited grammar school admission guidance. First of all, I need to thank those who are agreed to present for this guidance classes. Adel, so he is from Sweden. He is in year 12. Is it right?
So yes.
Year 12 and one of the grammar schools in Cheltenham. So yes. He is one of our presenters, and he is helping regularly for the grammar school teaching, and which is happening in Swindon area. So he's an experienced person, and he is a very and for UUKMA, he is very much involved in many of the UUKMA activities. So I would like to first of all welcome Adil to the career guidance.
Thank you very much.
Second person is, let me find out where is. So this is Rishikesh. He is from Cheltenham. Rishikesh Biju, he's my son. Right, he is in year 13. He is in the same school as Adele, and all the three presenters are from the same school, but that doesn't mean that we are just we got these three people because they're all experienced one. That's what we pick up. You three people, nothing particular about any particular grammar school, or we are not thinking about any separation from the grammar schools. Anyway, this teaching is basically for how to get into grammar school, and then whether if you are not getting, what is the other things we can do, all those stuff. And third person is Angel. So Angel, she is Angel Zoni, and she is from Swindon. She is same school as I said, from Cheltenham, and she is also like Adele. She is helping one of the grammar schools teachings happening in Swindon. So these three people are experienced to do these classes, so that's why we chose them. And we got three. We got three eminent personalities to help us as a what you call that, as an advisors, mentors, and we luckily we got all the three are quite experienced in this field. First of all, I need to thank Mrs. Raymol Nithiri. So she is doing this grammar school teaching for them. I think maybe a decade she is doing those things, and then she is helping the community, and she is well known to the people who are getting into grammar school, and then she's got she's a multi-talented person, and then this is one of the talent she is providing us today. And then I'm really thankful to Nidhi Raymol, because she helped to get the other presenters and other our faculty. So we are really thankful for those things, Raymond. Thank you very much. So this is Rishmi Krishna. she's from Bromley, near London, I think, East London. Yeah. Southeast London. And she is also, as I said before, she is experienced in this field, and then she is doing the regular teaching for grammar school. And then we are very thankful for spending time. And then she was very keen and very helpful for the preparation. And then she is giving so many ideas for getting the slides, and then how to pick up the questions and sense, how to answer those things. Yeah, those things. Anyway, anyway, you will know all those things eventually. And last but not least, Mr. Joseph Nidiri, we call him Joe. So he is from Swindon, and then he is both Raymond and Joe are IT professionals, but this is their passion, and then they're doing the teaching for many years. And then Joe, again, we're thankful for from the side of from my side, and then from on behalf of UUKMA, we are really thankful for all of you. So we'll go ahead. The idea is like it's about 45 to 55 minutes of presentation by these three our youngsters, and then they made some PowerPoint presentations, and then they will be presenting. So we will be at the time of presentation. Kindly, if you got any questions, kindly note it down or put it in the the chat box rather than asking that question. And then you all should be muted for the time being, for the 45 minutes when these people are presenting. And then after that, either you can put that, as I said, put it in the chat box, or write it down, and then towards the end there will be an hour of we'll be having at least an hour time for the question answers, for try to clarify whatever, how much we can help you out to answer those questions. So kindly mute yourself and then let these people present, and then after that we can have all the questions, and then we'll try our best. Okay, so first I think Adele is taking, so I'll take everything out, and then I'll mute everyone. So then that's it pretty much from my side, and then I'll be coming back after the presentation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, can everyone see my screen okay? I hope that's all right. So yes, my name is Adele Bashir. I'm in year 12, and I'm studying my A-levels at Pates Grammar School in Cheltenham. And welcome to the UUKMA Grammar School admission guidance session. So, well, first of all, I think it's important to understand, what is a grammar school? So when, maybe many of us, maybe parents have children in year 6 or year 5 who are looking and starting to think about, okay, what's going to happen after primary school? And we generally have 3 options in England. So we have comprehensive schools, we have independent schools or private schools, and we also have grammar schools. So a grammar school is a state school that selects its students based off the 11+ exam. And there are 164 grammar schools in England and about 69 in Northern Ireland, compared to around 3,000 comprehensive schools. So we can see that grammar schools, there's a bit more of a niche for grammar schools. And what separates grammar schools from comprehensive schools is they tend to be more academically inclined. And they do this through the 11+ exam. It's kind of a vetting process to select those students who really aspire academically and really flourish there. So they offer a wide variety of opportunities in terms of higher education and career opportunities, because of the connections they have and the reputation that they have simply as a grammar school and that academic performance. And we can see that quite a lot of grammar school alumni and students are quite successful in their respective fields. We can see that over 60% of current Oxbridge students are either from private schools or grammar schools, which was a study done by the Independent newspaper. And some notable former grammar school pupils that some of you may recognize are John Lennon, Mick Jagger. You might know Boris Johnson, Margaret Thatcher, very, very famous politicians. David Attenborough from all the nature documentaries you might be watching. And of course, Anthony Hopkins as well. So yes, you can also see here, it's kind of a map of where the grammar schools are sort of dotted around. So in terms to really put things into perspective of the three different types of schools, we've got a little comparison table here so we can kind of see. So first of all, we have a comprehensive school. So comprehensive schools are completely free, and usually they're quite local to your area. And grammar schools are also completely free to go to, whereas obviously a private school, you have to pay around £20,000, £50,000 per term or per year. And that's because you're kind of getting that higher facilities and that sort of thing. So comprehensive schools, there's no selection process. They welcome anyone and everyone. All students are welcome at a comprehensive school. Whereas with a grammar school, it's a bit more selective and it's a bit more tough to get into. That's why they use the 11+ exam, which is this kind of standardized exam, to select students to be able to go to these grammar schools. And for many independent and private schools, they each have their own separate exams depending on the school. So the 11+ exam that a student might sit is dependent on the catchment area. So for example, each catchment area has its own set of grammar schools. So for example, my school that I go to, Pates Grammar School, is in the Gloucestershire catchment area, and there are other Gloucestershire grammar schools. So I sat the test for the Gloucestershire area. And comprehensive school, the admission is also on the basis of a catchment area, and usually that's sort of your local area. But obviously for a private school, there is no catchment area required as long as you're sitting the exam and you're paying the fees. Anyone and everyone is welcome there. So comprehensive schools are funded by the state, as well as grammar schools, but they often receive alumni donors, as we were saying in the previous slide, is that a lot of grammar school students tend to go on to be quite successful later in life. And obviously when they become successful, they often want to donate back to their school. So that often gives them the capability to have quite good facilities and services that really help boost a student's education. And obviously with an independent private school, you're paying £20,000 to £50,000, so you're going to expect some high quality facilities and kind of top-notch buildings and things like that. So in terms of opportunities for a comprehensive school, I mean, this is obviously a vast generalization, but it's usually dependent on the specific school, and there's no sort of guarantee on kind of the opportunities that are available. But I can say with grammar schools that the kind of opportunities you get in terms of higher education and career, and in terms of kind of your future outlook, there's a lot more kind of scope and a lot more guidance and information that they provide in grammar schools. So for example, I recently signed up for an internship with St. James Place, which is a wealth management company, and that was through Pates. And I think that without them, I would have never ever gotten this opportunity, which is really, really valuable for kind of my future career prospects. And obviously with an independent private school, there are going to be those good opportunities in terms of higher education and career, because like grammar schools, they also have that connections and that reputation. So in terms of general student ability, of course, this is again a vast generalization. So we have in comprehensive schools that you have students of all abilities. You have students that maybe perform maybe not so well academically, with students who kind of fly through and pass with flying colors. So it's really a mix. Whereas with grammar schools, again with that 11+ exam, that selection process, it's a bit more kind of the top end of the academic performances. And Again, we have with private schools, the ability of students is generally above the national average with the independent exams that they have to sit aside from the 11 plus. So we have a list here of some of the catchment areas so you might want to note down any areas that are near to you, because these could be the prospective areas that your parents might want to be sending their children to, and look for grammar schools in those areas. So it's important to know that for each catchment area, they have their own set of schools. So if you look up, for example, 11 plus Barnet, on Google, you can find their website, you can find the grammar schools in their area, you can find sort of the test format, because each area formats the 11 plus exam slightly different ways. So yeah, that's important to know. So I'll just read them out. We have Barnet, Bexley, Birmingham, Bournemouth, Bromley, Buckinghamshire, Calderdale, Cumbria, Devon, Enfield, Essex, Gloucestershire, Herefordshire, Kent, Kingston upon Thames, Kirklees, Lancashire, Lincolnshire, Liverpool, Medway Towns, and North Yorkshire. And in case some areas weren't mentioned, we also have obviously Northern Ireland. We have Plymouth, Reading, Redbridge, Slough, Southend-on-Sea, Surrey, Torbay, Trafford, Walsall, Warwickshire, Wiltshire, Wirral, and Wolverhampton. So yeah, if any parents want to make notes of any areas that are of relevance to them, then yeah, please do so. All right. So obviously the 11 plus exam, at the end of the day, it is the student who sits the exam. But I personally feel, having done the exam before, that I would not have been able to pass if I didn't have the amount of support.
Yeah, some technical problems.
Adil got cut off, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I can hear.
Yeah, I think Adil got cut off.
Adil
Yes.
got cut off, yeah.
So who is
Would you like to take over, Rishi?
Rishikesh?
Yeah.
Rishi, do you want to do this?
Yeah, I can continue.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so like Adele was saying, in terms of preparing for the actual 11 plus, your parents should be in, oh, I can't see the presentation.
I think he had the screen share.
Oh yeah. Adil had the screen share.
Rishi, you have the screen share, isn't it?
Yeah, I just need to load it up. Sorry, 1 second.
No.
Yeah, Rishi, we can hear you. We can continue.
Rishi, if you can screen share, then we could.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Adil is joining back, so
Oh, is he joining back?
yeah,
Yeah, Adil is saying joining. Yeah.
Adil is joining back.
So sorry about that. So Adil has got disconnected. So he'll be back soon.
But Rishi, if you have the presentation with you, please feel free to share that one, while we are waiting.
There is a question which says that will you be sharing the slides? Raymond, do you want to?
Yes, yeah. If anyone wants to get a copy of the slides we are presenting here, if you can put your email ID in the chat, or I don't know, Biju, do we have any generic email ID for UUKMA?
Usually the presenters make that thing, because
No, we have discussed that and we are happy to share the
Okay.
presentation. That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So we collect the email IDs. Please feel free to put your email ID here and we will email you the
Yeah,
presentation.
we could send the slides.
And we know that would be quite useful for you. We are sharing lots of resources and tips for parents and things like that. So please
Yeah.
feel free to put your email ID in the chat.
Yeah.
And we will
Put all the email IDs we would. Yeah, they are all putting. We should get it down, right?
I think Biju, you can make a note of the email IDs, right? Yeah, from the chat.
Let me have a look.
Yeah.
I can make a file out of those chats.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Okay.
Rashmi, then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let everyone put their email IDs and we'll collect.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if Rishikesh wants to,
Yeah, Rishi, if you would like to
Rishi,
continue.
would you like to share the slide and start?
Yeah, it's just sorry, it's just loading.
Yeah, if you've lost the screen, you can do Alt Tab and you can see all the screens. Maybe it is hidden back actually when you stop sharing the screen. If you are on a Windows laptop, you can do Alt Tab and you can see all your screens and you can select the one you need.
Yeah. Are you able to see the?
Yes.
Yeah,
You can.
yeah, good. Yeah, it's coming up.
Let me just. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so shall I just continue?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so like Adele was saying, in terms of preparing for the exam, parents should quite heavily be involved because with your son and daughter, you should try and get them to do activities with you. So whether that's doing the exam papers with them, and because a very important thing is quite a few of the questions you're not very familiar with, especially in the verbal and non-verbal reasoning sections. So an important thing is to kind of be able to look through them and get more familiar with the question types before going into timings and things. Depending on where you live, the exam styles in different areas are quite different. So you can look up the area where you live and the exam and look at the format there. There's also the availability of quite a lot of tuitions out there. So you can register your child up for some sort of tuition in which they can prepare for the exam. And me personally, I found them very helpful because they're able to teach you a lot of tips and tricks whenever you're tackling different types of questions, especially with non-verbal reasoning, because that was one I struggled with quite a bit. And yeah, there's quite an abundance of books and practice papers out there that you can do, whether that's kind of like CGP or bond books or yeah, but we'll come on to the resources on a later slide actually. And there's also mock exams that you can do closer to the time, in which you can actually properly prepare the timings and be more familiar with how fast you should do the questions in each section. And also just in terms of choosing the grammar school or comprehensive school or whatever, you should definitely make sure that you try to go to an open day so that you can get an understanding if the child actually likes this school and whether it's somewhere that they would be comfortable going. And in the open days, you'll also be able to see sometimes how they teach their students, and from that you can infer whether this is the right place to send your child and if they'll have a good time. So next, yeah, it's about the.
Hi Rishikesh, sorry, I'm back. Yeah, I don't know. I think my internet just decided that the live stream was the perfect opportunity to cut out. I'm so sorry for those technical difficulties, but I am back. If you want, I can actually share my screen again. It just shouldn't happen again. Is that right?
Yeah. Do you want me to stop sharing then?
Or shall we? It's the same slide, isn't it? Let Rishikesh continue. Then you can start talking. Then
Sure.
Adam, if that's okay.
Yeah, so we have some a couple of useful resources here. So we have the 11 plus exams website dedicated resources for the 11 plus, and it also gives kind of a lot of advice as well. We have the 11 plus guide, which is another useful website which provides guidance to parents in all aspects of the 11 plus test, and also again has those preparation resources like exam papers, books. Also the Bond 11 plus books, which I've used in the past and I found to be quite useful. So that's with books, assessment papers, mock tests, and I think for practice questions, Bond is kind of one of the best. They're quite well known. But obviously, pen and paper isn't for everyone, and I get kind of in this age, students and young kids, they prefer kind of the digital era. So we also have Atom Learning, which kind of has kind of more online and interactive sort of fun sort of learning for students, and I think that can also be quite useful. And of course, we have 11 plus Sleep, which has a wide variety of really exam accurate questions as well. So yeah, I would say it's really quite useful. Next slide. So we can see sort of a general layout of what some of the questions look like. So we can see in the maths section, we've got some multiple choice, sort of some angles questions. In English, sort of some verbal reasoning rules, that sort of thing. And we can also see that there are some code words. That's with the new exam board GL, which we'll get onto in a moment. That's sort of some new question types that are being introduced. And then we can see we have non-verbal reasoning, which is more of the identifying shapes and patterns, or more visual reasoning. So yeah, next slide, please. So about the exam board, so there are two main exam boards that set the 11 plus papers for schools, so which they are CEM and GL. But we know that from September 2023, so this September, CEM will no longer be an 11 plus test provider. And I know some parents may have, students that or pupils that may have sat CEM papers in the past and are kind of looking to understand, well, what's the difference between the two? So what we're going to do is, for this purposes of this presentation, we're going to be focusing on the new exam board GL, and I'll quickly go through kind of what the real difference is between the two. So the core sections of both exams are the same. So they both have English, mathematics, verbal reasoning, and non-verbal reasoning. But the main difference is in the sort of format of questions, and also most prominently the verbal reasoning. So CEM, verbal reasoning, only has synonyms and antonyms, so where you have to identify words with the same or the opposite meaning, whereas GL has now introduced 21 different types of verbal reasoning questions, which we'll get onto later. So yeah, now I'll hand over to Rishikesh, who thankfully saved me earlier from my internet connection, and he's going to delve a bit deeper into what exactly is in the test. So yeah, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. So yeah, like Adele said, I'm just going to be briefly doing a breakdown of each of the sections in the 11 plus. So first up is the English section. So in this, I would divide it up into the comprehension bit and the SPAG bit, which is spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So with the comprehension, it's you're given an extract and you have multiple questions to answer on it. And it kind of tests your ability to interpret a text and be able to take out valuable information and use that to answer the questions. And you sometimes have to answer these questions based on inference. So that just means the right information is not necessarily given, but you have to, kind of form an educated guess to be able to answer the question. And it also tests your ability to summarize parts of the passage. And there are also questions where they can ask you, the definition of like quite high level vocabulary that not all students will necessarily know, but based on the context of the actual passage, you should be able to infer what it means. So whether that's reading the rest of the sentence and then being able to figure out what it actually means. And it also tests their vocabulary and their spelling and punctuation. So, you know, for example, on the picture on the right, you can see that each kind of part is labeled with like letters from A to D, and you have to kind of highlight which section is has a mistake. So for example, in the first sentence, you can see in section B where it says address, it's spelt incorrectly. So that's the part that you would highlight. And it's not necessarily just a mistake with spelling, but it can also be something to do with punctuation or grammar. And so the next section we have is the maths. And in this, on the left, you can see a list of topics that they'll cover. And in terms of these topics, they should be taught in school. So, you know, in terms of revising for this section, it's more whether your child has quite a good knowledge of what they've covered so far in school, and whether they can apply it into you know, these questions. And in this section, it tests their ability, their child's like speed, accuracy, problem solving, and mental arithmetic, because I believe in the 11+, you're not allowed a calculator. So mental maths is quite a big, you know, part of it. Yeah, so the last two sections that I'm going to cover is verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. And these are the sections that are not necessarily done in school. So, you know, these sections are areas in which students can fall slightly. So, you know, these are areas that need quite a bit more practice than English and maths, for example. So in non-verbal reasoning, it's all about kind of pattern recognition. So being able to kind of look at pictures and diagrams and solve problems. So it kind of highlights their ability to visualize information and then have good spatial awareness to spot these patterns. So again, for example, if you look at the question 31, you can see like the top row, well, each row, the size of the square increases, and each row is all about whether where the square is actually placed. So for the top row, it's in the bottom left, bottom right, and the bottom row is the square is located on top right. So for the middle row, it would be E, where it's located to the left-hand side. And the final section is verbal reasoning. And this section, it's a lot more skill-based rather than knowledge-based. And quite a few people can get confused, you know, the difference between this and English. And I would say that English can test your vocabulary knowledge, but verbal reasoning can ask students to kind of crack codes using letters or even rearranging letters to make a new word. So verbal reasoning definitely requires a lot more logical and critical thinking rather than English. And again, this is one of the sections that are a bit more challenging for students to tackle. So it's one that should be practiced quite a lot. And that there's, I think, 21 different question types, which we have listed on the screen right now. And they get a lot of getting used to, so, you know, so that you're able to answer the questions in the actual exam. And finally, we have a slide on how different areas can format the 11+ in different ways. So it's not all, you know, standardized across the whole country. So for example, in Lincolnshire, they have they've grouped it into two big sections, which is verbal reasoning and then non-verbal reasoning. So verbal reasoning has 80 questions, non-verbal has 70, but that's split up into 5 sections, and you can see the timings as well. where you have 50 minutes and then 7 minutes per section in the non-verbal reasoning. And in Kent, they've split it up further into English and maths, plus the extended writing. And with the extended writing, it's not actually taken into account in terms of like marking, but they can look at it if they're struggling with choosing between two different students who might have a very similar mark, and being able to determine which one they choose to go to their grammar school. And then Dorset have maths, verbal reasoning, and English, and the timings 50 minutes for maths and verbal reasoning and 45 minutes for English. And then in Medway, again, these are the different sections that they're broken down into. And with the extended writing, it is usually an essay that they have to produce in a certain amount of time. And I believe it can be like creative writing, so they might have to make a story or things like that. And I believe with Barnet and Enfield, we've written down these kind of sections in round 1 and round 2, but I believe Barnet has 4 grammar schools and Enfield only has 1, and each one, it is slightly different in terms of the format of the 11+. So when you are choosing a grammar school that you want your child to go to, you need to make sure that you do look up how the format works out in the actual 11+, because it does vary from each grammar school, and it does take some getting used to like before you actually do the exam, so that they're not thrown off. So next we're going to go through some like general tips and advice, and for that I'll be handing over to Angel.
Is Angel here?
Hopefully it's not more internet issues.
If Angel is not here, would you like to go through that, Adel?
Yeah, it's all right. So kind of redeeming myself for earlier. So some general tips and advice. So when it comes to
sorry,
sort of tests.
Angel is here. Sorry, Angel is here. I think she was on mute. Yeah, there you go.
Go on, I'll let you go.
We can't hear you, Angel.
Should I just do this slide?
Yeah, carry on, please. Yeah.
Right. So some general tips and advice. So when it comes to answering the questions, obviously timing is crucial, and it's important that students learn how to work under a time pressure. But I think the most important thing, first of all, is to get used to the question types, because once you are understanding what you're tackling, then kind of with practice, the timing generally comes quite naturally. So that's I'd say the first tip. So another tip for comprehension is that what I tell some of my students that I teach is that if you're a slow reader, rather than reading the entire text first, what's actually quite a useful tip is to go straight to questions. So what we can do is go straight to, for example, read question 1, and from then on you can start reading the text, because generally the answers are in a chronological order. So you can follow through the text and answer the questions kind of simultaneously, and that helps students answer questions much quicker. And then they find they get a lot happier, a lot of my students, because they're all of a sudden completing the comprehension in half the time that they were before. And this is another general tip, is that reading as much as you can. So I don't think I can put enough emphasis on how great reading is for kind of all parts of kind of verbal reasoning and English as well, because it really stimulates a child's imagination, the ability to understand texts and characters, and also extract and understand the explicit and implicit information that's given in various texts. Like Rishikesh was saying earlier, sometimes you need to be able to understand that implicit information that's not told directly to your face in order to answer certain questions. And that ability is really, really quite useful to have. And it's what sets a lot of people apart. And another tip is, whilst you're reading, is to look up the meaning of any words that you're unsure of. This is thing that I personally did, and I found that it was really, really quite useful to developing an extensive vocabulary, because I mean, quite simply, the more words you know, the easier it's going to be to understand texts and follow through verbal reasoning and like understanding synonyms and antonyms. And yeah, so some more general advice and tips. Is that, as I said earlier, it does require both an input from students and parents. As I said, the support from my parents, but also the individual effort that I put in. I think it was really a joint effort towards, passing the 11 plus. And, it says on the slide, yes, students need to be prepared to put in the work. Parents also need to make sure students are putting in the work. But I think it's important from the parental side is not to put too much pressure on your child, kind of, force them like, okay, you must do this many questions every day, because at the end of the day, it's a process and learning is meant to be enjoyable. So, and then the students should feel motivated to want to go to these sorts of schools. And, a bit of a friendly competition is also, also helps a lot, kind of spurring and motivating students to kind of practice and try harder. So, yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Oh, okay, Angel, you're back. All right.
Yeah, my mic is working now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. So practice is key. Start little but often. So master the question first. For example, nonverbal reasoning, it takes a lot of time and effort to figure out how to recognize patterns within the questions. So as soon as you figure them out, you can pick up patterns more quickly and build on speed. So that can be through timing your child maybe, or through doing like 10-minute practices. So a lot of the books in textbooks, they have timings that can help. So that's also really good for like practicing as well. So it's the recommended reading list. So reading is very important. It builds on your vocab a lot. And so a lot of these books have very like distinct vocabulary, very common vocabulary that is used in the exams. So some of my like books that helped personally for me was a series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, Harry Potter, The Chronicles of Narnia. They contained a lot of words that were really useful. So knowing them in context and knowing the meaning can help you infer with answers in comprehension as well, and in synonyms, antonyms, and verbal reasoning. So yeah, Roald Dahl is also really good. And it's also really important that your child reads the books that they like, so that they don't get forced into reading and they don't like not enjoy it, because reading in the end is really good for like your imagination and creativity. It's a boost for like your brain to like grow as well. This is the continued reading list. Also, if your child is like really vivid and like really into reading, it's great that you encourage them to read outside of their comfort zone. If there's someone who likes to read science fiction, maybe encourage them to read fantasy, because it helps you explore different texts and different characters and contexts, which is really good, because the 11 plus exam focuses on an array of things which we should be prepared for. That's like all this is about as well. And if your child is a reluctant reader, it's good to listen to, because with audiobooks you can listen to like the tones, you can see how characters are displaying and expressing their emotions. And BBC Sounds app is also really good. And First News, so it's good to be like, it's good to be knowledgeable about current affairs and like news that's happening in the world, because the 11 plus exam also takes stuff from like real life situations. So having some prior knowledge can help with answering questions really quickly in the exam. And Audible, there's so many like different resources.
I think Angel got cut off.
Access audiobooks and like news stories, which is really good.
So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for bearing with some of the technical difficulties we've been having. We'll now open up to sort of the panelists that we have, so obviously Raymond, Joe, and Reshmi. Of course, any questions that you have, please don't hesitate to put it in the Zoom chat, or if you're watching on Facebook Live, you can also put it in the chat on there. And yeah, we'll try our very best to answer them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Adel, Rishikesh, and Angel. First of all, let me wish all the lovely mothers here happy Mother's Day, and thanks for joining us. I would probably give you some kind of parental guidance because I too taught my own children, and that gave me kind of passion to do some 11+ tutoring as well. So you never know, after helping your children, you may also become a 11+ tutor. So from parental point of view, I would say start from a very early age, at least work on basic math skills. And along with that, get your children to read a wide area of books, not only fiction, non-fiction as well. Most of the children, they don't like non-fiction. So how you can help as a parent, sit with them and get them to read to you, listen to them nicely. And when they find some difficult vocabulary, ask them to write on a book, keep a book of records, with all the new words they learn every day, and write it down, check the dictionary or online dictionary, whichever is easier. And then encourage them to use all the new words they learn, and then make it like a fun way to learn the vocabulary. I would say use flashcards, which is quite useful, write like little cards, and you can buy some flashcards as well. And then probably you can play a little game with them, put all the flashcards on a table, and then you pick a word and then get them to see, whichever is the synonym or antonym of that one, pick that one, and then give a little treat, whenever, or have, play a family game. We used to do that and enjoy it. And then whoever gets the maximum point, offer a treat to them. Another method is like in your day-to-day life, put maths into day-to-day life, like when you drive a car. Nowadays, in most of the time, these new gen children, they don't know how to read the analog clock, for example, because they see all digital clock nowadays. So they don't understand when you say, what's the time, 8:10. They don't really know how to check the clock. So teach them how to read analog clock, and then just do little problems. You drive the car, I start at 8 o'clock in the morning. It takes 20 minutes to reach school, but on the way, you have to stop 5 minutes somewhere. What's the total time to go there? And then little, speed, distance, time kind of calculation, which we find a bit tricky sometimes to teach as well. And then another method is to say, for example, if you go to a supermarket with your child, you spend, say, £7.95 and you give £10 notes, what's the change you get back? And then try to teach them some kind of mental maths. When you say, some children, they just immediately write 10, take away £7.95. Instead of that, ask them, say, round £7.95 to £8. So then it's easy to do 10 take away 8, which is 2. Then there's another 5 pence. So then add that 5 pence. So it's £2 and 5 pence, that way of teaching. Another example, I would say some kind of tiling work. Say you have to put tiles in the kitchen, and the size of the kitchen is, say, 4 by 3 meter, and use 100 centimeter by 100 centimeter tiles. How do you calculate? We normally say, so 4 meter, you put that way, how many 1 meter tiles you can put? 4. And this way, 3 meter, you put 3 tiles. So altogether, how many tiles? 4 times 3, 12. That's the easy way of doing. And if you are using, say, 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter, it's double of that, isn't it? Like 4 meter that you use. For 1 meter, you use 2 tiles. So it's like 8 tiles that way, then 6 tiles this way. So 8 times 6. So, that kind of simple way of doing maths, I think probably you need to work on it. I would say sometimes, having a tutor can help you, especially with the GL assessment and stuff. because in school they don't cover verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. You can pick things of maths and English from school, but verbal reasoning, Rishikesh, he has already covered about 21 different types of verbal reasoning. So you need to do lots of practice at home. As a parent, the best thing you can do to your child is, learn with them, which is really enjoyable as a parent and a child. And we normally say to our students, this should be like a 3 people kind of process, like as a parent, a child, and the tutor work together as a team. That can make wonders. Another thing, please never compare your child with another child. Each child is individual and they have their own abilities. Some are very strong in maths, but they are not good in English, and some are so good in non-verbal, looking into the shapes, they are so good in that. So please never compare them. You are the best person to know how your child is, understand their abilities. It's okay to look for the best school, best grammar school. Sometimes, your child may not, work well within that team. I will give you an example. Our eldest daughter, she was in a school, and then, after when she completed her GCSE, we thought, oh, she got really good GCSE results. Let's try for the best school. And then we moved her. She also wanted to go, but when we moved her, she found it was really difficult for her to cope up with that school. So she told our second daughter that, please don't do that, stay where you are. That's the best school for you. So it depends on the child's ability, and as a parent, you should support them rather than just pushing them to go to the best school. Sometimes it won't work out. And so for that, the best method is to go to a school when there's an open day or open evening. Please go and visit the school, identify the strength and weakness of each school, and see whether your child will fit into that school. The best school may not be the ideal one for you, but your child may fit into a different school. And always have a backup plan just in case if a child doesn't get admission to a grammar school, which I know as a parent and as a child you wanted to, but sometimes that it depends on the day how your child perform the test, and there's a lot of pressure on that 10-year child, and so you need to have that sympathy as well, rather than pushing them too much. So have a backup plan, visit the nearest comprehensive school. There may be some good schools there as well. And we had a message from one of the doctors, saying, I know Biju forwarded that to me, saying that some people find it like it's the end of the world if the child doesn't get into a grammar school. Especially among our Indian parents, it has become like a competition between parents, like back in India, like engineering and medical entrance exam. If you don't get, it's a kind of prestigious thing as well. Please don't take it like that. The way we are doing with children, they learn quite a lot of things. Even if they don't get admission to a grammar school, it's not the end of the world. They learn so many things, within that 1 year or 2 years, which can help them in their secondary school education as well. So as a parent, you should support them and never tell them off. They are good in things. And I know some of my students come and tell us, I'm in year 5. All the time, as soon as I come back from school, my mom or dad asks me to, have tea and then do the paper, and then 15 minutes break, do another paper. Just a ever-ending story. They can't enjoy their childhood, which is very important. They are only 10-year-old. They need to have some extracurricular activities. Please don't stop their extracurricular activities. It's good to practice every day, maybe an hour with them. That's fine. But, they need to have some extracurricular activities, too much. And we always say it is the quality which matters, not the quantity. The number of hours you put, but if you don't get into result, what's the point? Just spend some quality time with your children. It can make wonders. What else? Probably I'll stop now, and I will hand over to Reshmi to talk more about GL assessment side and any other extra things Reshmi would like to add about London area.
Thank you, Ray. There were 2 or 3 questions which they had put in the chat. If you want to read that out. And first question was whether I would get admission in a grammar school like 6th form.
Yes, yeah, that is the A level.
Yeah, A level. So,
yeah, so for
is
A
it-
levels,
are
there's
you,
no
I-
extra, yeah, there's no extra test. I think for
No,
each
it's
school, you need
based
to
on
check
your
their
GCSE.
website, yes, and
Yeah.
you need
But
to get the
I'm
certain
not
grade.
sure. I'm not sure whether they are asking us about the in-year application or is it a fresh 6th form application? What is
I think
it?
it's sixth form application. I think I have just read the chat. What I
Okay.
understand is for 6th form, each grammar school has their own points you need to achieve. If you achieve that, you can apply with your GCSE predicted grades,
Yeah.
and then you will get admission or
Yeah.
not. Sometimes I think they go for Adele. You know better than me, I guess. You know about the
Yeah.
6th form.
So obviously, so as a year 12 who, I mean, obviously just starting out in 6th form. So if you're an internal already part of the school and you're looking to go to your own school 6th form, then yes, it's just like Raymond just said, you just need to achieve a certain grade. And so for example, that might be say 57 in your total. And then you would you would automatically get back into your school should you wish to do so. If you are an external, as in coming from a different school and wanting to join Kate's for year 12 and 13, so for 6th form, they take into account not only your grade, and oftentimes it's a bit higher than for internals. So internals don't have to achieve a lower grade. You have to achieve a certain grade. They also have to, a lot of them take personal statements as well. So just like to show a little bit about yourself. And there is also an interview process as well, which is, not kind of the daunting job interview sort of thing, just kind of a friendly, to get to know the person. So that's how admissions into 6th form work.
Yeah, but I would strongly advise the parents and the child to go and visit the school so that you can see the departments and, if your child wants to go into a medicine, engineering, which school is the best, and then, go ahead with the school rather than, because that's a major turning point of their life, isn't it? 6th form. After that, you get into the university. So that 6th form is so important for the children. Yeah. Before we start with the details of the GL, if any parent had any questions, I think this would be the right time to ask, isn't it, Ray?
No, I think probably you do GL first, Rashmi, and then Joe can also, put his bits into that, and then we'll open for Q&A.
Yeah. So like we said, now there were 2 major boards. One was CEM and the other one was GL. So now all over England and different other parts as well, they have discontinued the CEM and we focus only on the GL board. The GL board consists of 4 exams: English, maths, verbal and non-verbal. And depending on the areas, like Adil said, he had made this sections where, the levels of difficulty with GL varies. So as far as I know, Henrietta Barnett, they make the GL assessment very difficult, while the Kent is more lenient towards GL, the way the GL makes GL papers are done in the Kent. So either there are 2 ways of approaching this. Either you have a tutor who takes you from, takes you to an order of books with the least difficulty, and then you learn and then you move ahead, right? Or you can always do the entire 11 plus all by yourself. But you have to dedicate the time, isn't it, for your child? So Ray, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go through the entire syllabus or?
I think would be beneficial, especially I know there are loads of people joined from Gloucestershire area. As we are moving to GL, it will be the first batch. So all are eager to know. As you said, there are about 3,000 question banks and stuff. We don't know.
So
which
the GL.
So if we can go through that,
So
that would be helpful.
till now there were only CEM. CEM has their own style of doing it. They used to have 2 papers which are mixed with all the verbal, non-verbal, the English, the maths. But with GL, these are all separate papers. So there are 2 types. Either it's a multiple choice or it is writing. But only in May, when the forms come out, we will know what type of GL your area is doing. And only after giving the exam, unfortunately, this year, we would know whether what is the difficulty, the level of difficulty, isn't it? So I think this year is going to be very challenging, and we'll have to prepare them because when you look at GL and CEM was harder in terms of the timing, the vocabulary, everything. CM is a lot harder than GL. So I don't know whether areas which were doing the CEM, which will it be harder like the GL? Like the GL might be.
I guess in Gloucester will be harder. GL
It will be harder because we were used to the
level.
CEM.
Yeah, we are so used to CEM. They won't go, to a very low level GL. I would think.
No, they would not go.
We
into
need
the
to
low
expect
level.
like high level GL in Gloucester.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So usually what GL says is that you could stick to the KS2 syllabus. But in my experience, no, we have to move a little bit more than the GL KS2 syllabus, isn't it, with everything? And there is something new like a verbal and the non-verbal. Without practice, I don't think the child can ever achieve those kind of grades in 11+. Isn't it? These are something new which is not done in the school, and we cannot rely on the state school so much for the 11+ preparation. Yeah.
Yeah. Rashmi, someone is asking how much percentage would come in English, NVR, VR, and maths?
So it depends on the area. So we are not yet sure about the Gloucester area, but we know about the Kent. It's equally divided. Some areas take 25% from the English, 50% from the maths, and verbal reasoning might be 25%. So your area still not sure because this will be the first year we are giving it, but Kent is distributed equally. And with the Kent, the writing is not marked because they will only mark if a child fails to achieve a certain standardized score, then the writing is marked. There are other areas which concentrates only on a high level of verbal and non-verbal, again set by GL. They don't have English and maths anymore.
In the familiarization tests provided on all the Gloucester schools, they have put like 40 questions each for maths, English, non-verbal, and verbal. So I would think they may take like equal percentage.
Yeah, they might take
an assumption.
And, have you heard anything about the creative writing? Are they going
There's
to?
No creative writing in Gloucester.
There's no creative writing. So some areas do, but some areas they are not marked. But there is an area called Midway inside the Kent, where there is no English comprehension, but just the writing.
Okay.
So they take 25% of that, 40% of the maths, and the rest non-verbal, verbal reasoning for the rest. Yeah. So each area is different, but we will come to know this year, isn't it? It is very daunting, overwhelming for the parents, not knowing what's going to come. But I feel if you prepare them in the CEM way, and plus a few GL books, it should suffice. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Rashmi. Shall we hand over to Joe then to give his tips? Yeah, Joe.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. The area I would like to focus on is the problem solving. So I'm just taking you outside the actual content of the exam and just bringing to forth the general idea of how we should approach problem solving in general, which would help this particular exam and any future exams and challenges. So look at the various topics in the exam. So we have got English, for instance, we've got comprehensions. How would you go about achieving a good score in the comprehension? Even before they start reading, I tell my students to see if they can get any hidden clues from the title of the comprehension, if there is any information in the pictures, or if there's a statistical table attached to the comprehension. So from there, I ask them to make a guess of the comprehension. And then the next thing I would ask them to do is to skim through the paragraph. And while doing that, I also ask them to put in 1 or 2 words of what's the main focus of each paragraph. Why I usually ask them to do that is when they actually do that, they are able to find which answer links to which paragraph, right? So which question has the solution in which paragraph. So the main focus of the paragraph. So in the more senior classes, we call it form and structure. So that is very important. So that's how we break the English comprehension up into smaller units. And again, be wary of any hidden maths data that might be held in those paragraphs, because from those, even though we say certain percentage is dedicated to English, they could possibly ask maths questions even within the comprehension. So always be wary of the information. And sometimes, like Adele was mentioning, we cannot actually, and Hrishikesh also mentioned that we cannot actually directly get the answer. We have to work it out from the data that is given in the comprehension paragraph. So one piece of data may be in one of the paragraphs and the other may be in the other paragraph. So they should be able to connect. They should be able to use the data arithmetic, and they should be able to use some of their maths knowledge to solve those problems. Another area is the reasoning type of problems. So we've got the NVR and the verbal reasoning and all. So again, how would you break up the problem into smaller units? So our human brain cannot take too much information at the same time. So what we do is look at parts of the problem. There also try to split the pictures or the group of pictures into smaller units and then build it up based on that. So keen observation is another very important thing. They should look at various aspects, and their observation is measured by how much they are able to look at it in detail. So where the hatchings are there, where the rotations are there, they should be able to spot all those minor variations. And for doing that, of course, practice is important, but also it's important that they have a good state of mind when they're going for these exams. So they should have had plenty of rest. They shouldn't be under any pressure. They shouldn't be under any stress. So that's very important that they're a clean state of mind at the time. So other than that, we have got the close type of paragraphs where they actually are given paragraphs and they have to fill in the missing set of phrases or connectors. And also there again, they should read the whole paragraph in continuity. So every paragraph has got a heart and soul. So they should be able to comprehend what the paragraph is trying to convey. And then only they should imagine, for example, if the setting is in a beautiful village, they should think that they are part of that. And then only they'll be able to really get the right set of words to put in, because sometimes it's not the grammatical correctness which is measured in that particular context, if it is fitting well. So they should be able to select the right word for that particular context. So for example, if there's a happy and sad, both in the set of choices, and we are actually projecting to a village which is completely, imagine it's beautiful, bright and sunny and people are all happy. So we couldn't put a sad kind of connector over there. Like we have to put the happy one over there. So it's what I'm trying to stress is it's not just the grammatical meaning, but the semantical meaning of the word is also very important. Other than that, there is a big advantage for parents if they work with children in these particular exams. And that is something I wanted to bring forth. This is something I learned from my daughter who did psychology for her from Cardiff. And it is different parts of the brain we use for reasoning, different part for English, different part for maths. And the good thing is, when you're learning with a child, you're exposed to different areas of knowledge. What happens in our working life is we are all doing a type of role which makes us focus on one area of knowledge, and we become too good at it. So we are putting too much stress on that part of our brains. But when you actually look at the wider context of problem solving, you are then getting to exercise your brain just like you would be going to a gym or something. So there's a big advantage to parents, and they could actually find a hidden meaning in their own lives if they work with children and the learning. And that's one of the reasons why Raymond and me continued teaching after our daughters went through this grammar school exams, because we just wanted to carry on the fun bit of life. And I must admit, this is having a lot of benefit in the mental health and everything, so that we can actually continue to enjoy the life to the fullest. Continue to teach a child, but ensure that you don't overstress them. You can play good family games and all, like Scrabble and all, which will help them build up their vocabulary skills and all. So you must have that good family time, family fun time, and learning doesn't have to be in front of the books, right? Even like Raymond was mentioning, even in the supermarkets, you make them take the decision, which is a better deal, right? Or if mom is cooking a nice dish or dad is cooking a nice dish, let them make the selection of the ingredients based on the cooking recipe. So it's very important you get your child involved in daily activities like measurements around the house, in the garden. Take them out, show the open world, show them the car dashboards, and make them understand how the car dashboards are laid out. Make them take the reading when you're starting a journey of the odometer, which is the distance meter on the dashboard. And when you complete the journey, let them again take the reading. Let them also see how much time it took for the journey, and let them calculate the average speed. So if they are into football, for instance, let them do the statistical averages of their favorite football players. That's how you can actually make them involved and make learning a fun process rather than a stressful process. So these are some of the examples I wish to share, and wish everybody all the best.
Joe, I would like to add that, the entire syllabus, the KS2, which is the year 6 as well, that you will have to do 1 year previously with the kids. That's where the tutor and the parents come in.
Absolutely, yeah.
And because the school is not going to do it, especially, for example, like maths, you said percentages, ratios, mean, mode, median, etc. All the conversion, like what is 250 grams, what is 1 liter. It's not going to be covered by the school. It is your responsibility to do it, and that's to a different level. Yes.
Yeah.
There was one more, sorry.
Yeah, and one more thing, Rashmi, to add to your point, this is the place where they try get to connect all those information together. So the ratios, percentages, and all of them will be knowing from schools about ratios, percentages, and everything. But how to connect those to solve the problems, that is where the parents have to come in.
Yeah. So when you do a paper, you identify the areas. If you take a bond book 9 to 10, yeah, that's where you start, isn't it? In year 4, if you start with 9 to 10. If you give them a paper and then you see, oh, they don't know what percentages. There is so much free worksheets available, in the web, that you could just print it out, give it to them, and that practice keeps them going. That practice is so important, rather than telling them to keep on solving the papers all the time. You have to understand where their weakness is, make them understand. There's one more question. GL comprehension, does it focus on specific type like fiction, classic, contemporary? It can be anything.
It can be even poetry.
It can even be poetry. I remember 2016, there was poetry. It can be anything, so wide reading is so important. I know different people have different ways of understanding. Most kids do not understand when they read the comprehension for the first time. I would encourage them to read it twice, quickly, like skim through the second time, so that they understand what's happening. Reading it first time, they would not understand where to go back, what to do. Reading it twice helps them a lot. And GL does give you that certain time to read it twice. Yeah. There was one more question regarding whether you spoke about equally distributed. My query is this regarding number of questions or score achieved in each subject. Okay, equal distribution is when there is English and you take 25% of English, and then that will be added to your total marks. Yeah. But some areas, equal distribution in English, maths, verbal, and reasoning. Reasoning is verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. So take equal amount. Then again, in Kent, it's a GL. It's fully GL for years. And if there are 25 questions in English, 25 questions in maths, and there is 83 questions in reasoning, it has to be standardized. Standardized is bringing all the marks together. That is your score. That's what you get. Any other questions?
Can't see any more questions there. Has anyone got any questions? If you want to ask.
If you want to ask anything regarding maths or English.
Yeah, so I'm quite new to the UK. And my daughter Leher is studying in year 5 now. She's completed year 4 here and is interested to go to grammar school. So I have no much idea how to proceed with the preparation. So I've got some books for her through Amazon. Are you giving tuition as well, like Rashmi, Adel, and Joseph?
I don't think we are in the same area, so I would not be. I think
depends on where you live.
Depends on where you are. If you can find some recommended tutors.
Okay, so you don't provide online coaching?
No, I do, but I'm quite full up now, so I don't think I would be able to help you in year 5.
That's a trouble.
You have to find somebody.
Yeah, we
Sorry,
normally
you have to
select
find somebody in your local area.
and then it's difficult to get a tutor. Once we start, normally they
start academic year,
and it's difficult to get a tutor. You need to find out in your area. You maybe check with other parents, if they are doing it, if they know anyone. Where do you live? Out of interest.
It's called part of Oxfordshire.
Sorry, didn't get that.
Oxford, near Oxford.
Near Oxford. So it's Buckinghamshire, right? So you will have to, there are loads of tutor who will do Buckinghamshire. It's again, Buckinghamshire is GL. So it is not as hard GL as other areas. So, you will be okay. And they have, the best part about Buckinghamshire is they have a sibling category. So your sibling just has to pass the exam if you have any, and then they get in. So Buckinghamshire, the William
it's Berkshire.
Yeah, it's Berkshire. Okay,
Berkshire.
William. Yeah.
So Berkshire is a Reading then, Reading area.
Reading.
Oh, so yeah, I think in Reading they follow GL and then you have creative writing as well there.
Yes.
Because it's only Reading Boys and Kendrick, and only 2.
If you are planning to do it yourself, I would recommend that you complete all the bond books and the CGP from 9 to 10 to 10 to 11, so that you cover all the areas and then move on to practice papers. Everything is available in Waterstones and W.H. Smith, Amazon. But only at disadvantage is not having a tutor is you will have to make your own order of difficulty, whatever it is,
And join any 11+ forums as well, where parents discuss loads about, what they do with their children. And some people recommend books and, online materials. And sometimes somebody put questions and then, other parents answer. There may be some tutors within that group as well. That can really help. And I would strongly recommend to attend minimum 3 mock exams. So your child will get the hang of exams. Especially the trouble is, here in this country, children don't do many exams. So, going to a, proper exam in that environment, it can be really scary for them. So it's important that, I know even a student of mine, even though she attended about 5 mock exams with us, and, on the exam day, she was so scared that she started, being sick. She couldn't take the exam. So they, obviously they had to go home. She went there again for the second time. It was the same. And then, Tracy, who is our main person, Tracy went there to that school just to give her that kind of confidence. So you are okay, you're doing absolutely fine. Some children are like that. They're very nervous to take the exam. So it's important that you take your child for at least, 2-3 mock exams. It's really helpful, especially in an exam environment with so many children around, with all the audio instructions, it can be a bit scary for children.
Okay, so I don't think GL would be audio anymore. And GL also has no closed test, as far as I know, around this area.
Okay.
So like Joe said, there will be a closed test. Yes, for CEM, we were doing the closed test, but for GL, there is no closed test.
Okay.
So it's plain comprehension, grammar, spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes, and what word goes in between. That's it. Very, very clear. And maths is also, very clear about what they need. There will be 1 percentage question, 1 ratio question, 1, metric unit or the imperial unit question, one bar graph, it can be a tally, anything. It's very, very clear, 25 questions. So anything else?
Somebody has asked, how's the GL paper in Bournemouth? Do you know, Rashmi? I really don't know.
Thank you.
Did we do it in the list? Bournemouth?
Bournemouth, can you check, Adel? Is that in the list?
Is it there in the list in the?
Bournemouth.
Is it Bournemouth? Was it CEM first?
I think so, yeah.
Then we would not know.
Yeah, so it'll be similar to Gloucester then. Yeah, we don't know. It'll be the first time you'll be taking GL in Bournemouth.
But a good way to find out information is on the, as I said, each 11 plus catchment area has their own website. So 11 plus Bournemouth will have their own page.
Yeah, or check the, your grammar school area in that area and their school website. They will mention what sort of tests you will have, and download the familiarization paper from there. That will give you a clue about
Yes.
how the test
But in May, all the forms will anyway come out, and you would know what.
Yes, yeah.
What is.
Yeah, that maybe something we can mention about the process. Normally by I think mid-May, you need to apply to various grammar school tests. And
if you're in year 5.
I know more Southwest. I know from mid-May until end of June, you have to apply. And then when you apply, you have to pick all the grammar schools in your area. For example, like if it's boys, you can pick mixed schools and boys school. And for girls, mixed schools and girls schools. And then you can pick one school as your test center. Then you apply, and then you'll get all the information back from the authority. And you will have a test center. They will give you all the instruction. And then it's normally sort of September, second Saturday or third Saturday, depends each area. You will have the entrance test, and then you will get the results from each school after a month. Once you get the results, and then you apply to your local authority where you live. And different local authorities give how many options you can put. I know in Gloucester, they give 5 options. You can put your first, second, third, fourth, and fifth choice. And it depends, whether your child has been qualified or not. They will give you, if your child is in the top 150, then there is nothing to worry about. If not, and if you just know that your child has been qualified, that's a bit tricky. You have to check the previous ranks and what was the last rank they gave admission, and then depending on that one you choose which is your first, second, like that. Some local authorities give only 3 options. I know in Swindon, I work for Swindon Borough Council, we give only 3 options. So it's a bit tricky for parents, and sometimes you won't even get even a single one, even though your child is qualified. It's like tight competition. Most schools go only 150 seats, and there will be lots of competition for that 150 seats. So it's a bit tricky, and we do help our students and parents choose which one the best for them. So you need to probably check with somebody, if you have a tutor, check with the tutor what's the best way, and looking at the rank, whether there is a possibility of getting in there or not.
So isn't there a waiting list after
there
you
is,
get the
there is waiting list, but I think
March,
some schools it's tricky. You can, if you're on the top 50 waiting list, you can probably get through.
Yes.
Sometimes you can't really predict.
You never know what comes
yeah,
along, but then the waiting list, every school keeps it till December of that year.
Yeah.
So March 1st, when you get your results, they will keep it till December, and there is always a movement. So don't lose heart, if there is if they're on the borderline or anything of that sort, then keep it.
Yeah, and some schools, they have in-year admission as well, and you have to put your name into that in-year list. There's a special form on each grammar school website, and then when they have the test for that particular year, for example, in year 8, if they have say a couple of vacancy there, they will ask for all the in-year students to come and take the test. It will be a bit harder than the normal 11 plus. You need to write all the subjects. Sometimes they give science question paper as well, and then it depends, whoever scores the highest will get place for that one. And then again, there's another option to apply in when your child is in A level as well. Right, so I'm expecting Tracy only at 3:45, and I know she's stuck in traffic as well. So has anyone else got any questions?
So Bournemouth, it's saying English comprehension, multiple choice, creative writing, and maths multiple. There's no verbal and non-verbal, but I'm sure some of the verbal will be included in the English. It can't be just English and non-verbal. Yeah. Some of the verbal will be included in the English. They haven't specified anything else yet.
Yeah, I know in Gloucester familiarization paper, they have put like the first paper will be 40 marks English and 40 marks verbal reasoning. So the verbal reasoning will cover all the 21 types of questions. And the second paper, maths, 40 questions, maths and 40 non-verbal reasoning. The difference between CEM and GL, you know, those who prepared your children when they were in year 4, I think the more spatial side, you know, 3D shapes and stuff come in GL.
Ray, it is when you said 40-40, it is like Lincolnshire, okay? Because we do a lot of Lincolnshire. It is exactly like that. Get Lincolnshire papers and you'll be, They
So
have.
Do you know in Lincolnshire whether they have like particular time for each section?
Sorry?
In Lincoln, do they have particular time for each section?
They have. Non-verbal is always timed. If you have 5 sections, and each section has 12 questions, then it's 6 minutes, half of the number of questions. So each section is 10. So that's where you have to train your child for non-verbal.
Oh, okay. So it's important that you do loads of practice.
Loads of practice. And like you said, sorry, like you said, the spatial reasoning is 2 sections. It can be hidden figures. It can be adding 2 shapes together. It can be not exactly how to make cubes. But maybe they might roll the cube and ask you what will go in this surface. So everything is different. Mostly it is hidden figures. It is reflection. It is rotation. So those are the GL type of questions for spatial. Yes, somebody wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, go on then.
Some experience from my personal experience about the Gloucestershire. My 3 kids, Rishikesh is my 3rd child. His sisters both were in same school, like it's called Page Grammar School. So one of the friend, after advertising this about this course, he asked a question like, why you choose Page Grammar School kids only? That's what initially I was trying to explain, and then Raymond also kindly explained those part. First of all, that was not a choice. Like we got 2 people from Swindon area, and then Rishikesh. These 3 were teaching students for preparation of this grammar school. That is one reason. And first of all, from my side, I personally think like first when Aparna, my first daughter, when she got admitted, offer, when she got the offer from Page Grammar School, myself and my wife, we were seriously thinking whether to send to Page. Page is one of the best grammar school in the country, always in the first 10 or sometimes in the first 5 schools of all countries. So we were a bit worried about, means if she is not coping up. Again, Raymond clearly explained that sometimes you need to think twice before sending, especially sometimes our kids, they can't cope up with the high level of school. So it's not like it's not a prestigious thing to get into grammar school or get into this particular school. It's immaterial, because I personally, from my personal point of view, I studied in 8 schools in my 10 year of my school life, because of my dad used to get transfer frequently. So all Kerala, like from Calicut to Thrissur, Ernakulam side, I was studying in different schools. But I enjoyed like from different mediums of the school. Like I started with English medium, then some stage we could not find an English medium school, so then we need to change to Malayalam. But I really enjoyed like the final couple of years, like 9 and 10. That school was it's a village school. Like the percentage of pass percentage is about only just 25%. 70, 75, 1 to 1/3 on, or one, not 1/3, like 75% of the pupil used to fail the school. But I really enjoyed that school. Like still in my school days, in the 8 years of school, 8 different schools. That school I really enjoyed, and then the teachers, and then so that's what I'm trying to say. That it is not the particular school or name of the school that's immaterial personally for me, and how you are taking, and then how you are taking it from that, and then how you are enjoying, how you give back. That's particularly more important than the name of the school. That's and this not getting into grammar school, not again, that's not the end of the world. You can go to comprehensive school, and then anyway there is a parallel pathway to go get into grammar school. At that's also Rashmi was explaining, like after GCSE you can go back to the grammar school which you want, or again some people like Gloucester, we are lucky, like we were having 5 grammar schools, like couple of them are female, I mean girls only, couple of boys only, and a couple about mixed school. So people used to get to transfer after a couple of years, and after GCSE again, that is up to you people. And then it's not the name of the school, how you are doing the schooling, that is how you are enjoying the schooling, that's more important. That's just a personal note.
Yeah, that's a good thing that you said, Dr. Biju. It's really good, isn't it? Your personal experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions parents have about GL or how to prepare your child? If you're struggling in preparing, then again, parents do fight with the children, isn't it, while preparing? So
Yeah.
it is a big fight for 2 years, but the end result is so good.
Yeah, make the learning enjoyable. That's the main thing we have
Yeah,
to convey.
that's very important. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So be a part of the learning process. Like Dr. Biju was saying, we learn a lot from every type of context we work in. So people who have switched schools, they would have learned much more than people who have stayed in the same school. So in fact, you meet new friends, you meet new teachers. So learning should be like as important as breathing. Like even we are learning all the time in our lives. Like even today, I'm learning so many things. So one lifetime is not enough to learn every bit of information, which is
True.
yeah.
One more thing which I wanted to add, like most of the Indian cooking, right? We don't use a lot of vegetables, which are included in the. So when you go to Sainsbury or somewhere, Tesco, you make sure the child knows the names of those vegetables, because that is what is going to come in the verbal reasoning. You know, that is verbal reasoning. Verbal reasoning is logical. How many parts make up the UK? What is the capital of a country, or what are the main cities of UK? These all come in verbal reasoning. So make sure the child knows that, just a general knowledge.
Yeah, I like to add a bit fun part into that one. I know lots of we Indian parents, we always say, oh, my child is not doing enough. Even one of the assessments we did, one child got 39 out of 40. And then the parent was so worried that, why did my daughter lose that 1 mark? Wow, where did she go wrong? It's like, oh, come on, and then, that's the whole bit, we should know how to appreciate things as well. When they do things nicely, say, well done, you have done really well, you're doing well, that will increase their confidence, rather than say, just point out, the mistakes they have made. You have to say, oh, that maths part, you have done so well. In English, you got so well, keep up the good work. So you should know how to do that. And then probably give them some nice treats when they do the test well. And even for the actual test, say, if you get admission, I will give you something nice. So they have something to look forward to. We did the same, me and Joe. We offered our girls, we will get you this. And they was, oh, I really want that, so I will do better myself. And another thing which Adil mentioned, the importance of visiting the schools. That's very important. It can motivate children. When you see that good school, also, I really want to go there. So that will motivate them. That's very important. And then when you go there, for open days or evenings, ask relevant questions to the head teacher or other teachers there. And you can ask about GL, what type of thing they follow, what kind of questions you can expect, things like that. Another good example, I tell you, some parents say, oh, my children they're not doing enough. And once we gave a test paper to a child and a parent, we asked them to sit down. Those parents who complain a lot, sit down and do the test with your child. And guess what? The child got higher mark than the parent, obviously. And then, then parent can complain anymore. They are really doing a good work, working their best. So you just need to support rather than, just sort of giving more and more work all the time. I don't know what's the ideal time you should spend with your child every day. I would say probably 1 hour, 1 to 1.5 hours, the maximum. So that they get break, so that their brain can think better. And especially the day before the test, please don't do, most of the parents, even I did the same to my elder one, learn some more vocabulary. You never know, that may come, go through the whole book, the whole year, they prepared all the vocabulary, you have to go through the whole book that night. It won't work out, probably will drain their, brain on that night. So make sure they go to bed early, relax, and especially some people travel a lot to go to schools. So for the test, on that night, it's important that they get good rest and then reach the school for the test, maybe half an hour early so that you can be relaxed there. Children to see so many children and all are prepared well, all the parents, competing each other can be a bit tricky for them. So just give them as much as relaxation you can rather than adding more pressure. And then, parents between them, they have, and when you see, oh, that child is sort of learning sort of 4 hours a day, and my child is doing only 1 hour a day, or probably won't work out, you need to work hard. No, it doesn't work out that way. I keep saying this, it is the quality which matters, not the quantity. Okay.
Yeah, but also some parents, they come and say that, oh, our parents put so much of pressure on us, but they are doing the same thing to their children.
Yeah.
It's no difference. Yeah, I think it comes with the Indian territory, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, from this, well, obviously, I don't know what it's like to be a parent, but as a student, I can say that it is important that students also like make their effort as well, because I have I have some instances I've heard of some students who are just because they have that motivation. So as we said, about like wanting to go like open days, and that makes them motivated to want to go to that school and things like that. But also, especially one thing that I find is like a challenge is to get people to like read, because that because I said it was really useful, and I will keep going on about how useful reading is. But yeah, it's important that children, they try to explore books as much as they can to try and get that motivation to read. I mean, like I had the advantage, I think, of when I was preparing, is that I was I didn't just enjoy reading, I was an addict, like quite literally, and because I just it was very because I was very imaginative, and I really enjoyed that. But it's not with every book, and it was just that one series. It was actually the Percy Jackson series, which we mentioned in our recommended reading.
Oh yeah,
that was the book series that really got me into reading. And once I feel like once a student they like find that book series, that's kind of the launching point for them to go into other series and different things that they'll enjoy. So yeah, I think that's really useful.
It's good to know you read, but boys don't read much. That isn't a general complaint.
Adil is a great example of a boy who does read a lot. So yeah, but reading is very important, and it could be the first step to becoming a writer, because when you read more people's works, you can eventually become a good writer. And even though creative writing is not part of many of the schools, I would still encourage parents to motivate the child to write down something. When they write down, they know how difficult it is to create their own ideas and everything. So then they will know how to structure the paragraphs. And then when they come back to the comprehensions and all, they will find it much easier. So it's by doing we learn. So let them write something. And even if it doesn't become perfect or anything, that's fine. And listen to them, read what they have written, and also motivate them to teach you. Right? When they teach, they also learn well. So I do ask my daughters to teach me, and then I sit there like a dumb person listening to them, and they will be teaching economics and all. So that listening to a child is very important. They will come forward to teach you one day.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Anyone?
Do we have any questions from
We wait
Facebook?
for Tracy to come.
I can't get hold of her. She said she was stuck in traffic. She was traveling from Swindon to Gloucester, Cheltenham. She's stuck in traffic, so I can't really get hold of her. She's not answering.
Are there any questions from the Facebook Live chat? Is there anyone?
Let's have a look.
I don't know who has access to that.
Good point, Adel. Yeah, I've not been checking.
I'm checking that as well. No, I can't. Some people asked about this presentation, which we said will be available.
No, I really enjoyed this because none of the parents have many questions. Usually I'm bombarded with questions.
Yeah. We were wondering what happened to our parents, no questions.
I think the parents are now.
We were wondering what happened to our parents, no questions.
There's a feedback.
There's a feedback. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. We can take.
So does that mean we have covered everything what you had in
I
mind?
know
Yeah, that's a good thing to know.
That's a good thing, isn't it? Parents don't have
I
questions.
think we actually prepared this presentation based on some of the questions. We contacted some of the parents we know, and then we asked a few questions. So based on that one, we prepared the presentation. So just wanted to say a big thank you to Adel, Rishi, and Angel. To prepare this presentation. Honestly, Adel and Angel were our students with 11+ Leap, and then now they are our tutors as well. So we have a few students helping us. Yeah, it's going well. Well done, all of you. And I'm not sure whether Tracy is going to join or not. It's 3:47. I'm not sure. Any other questions from the audience? No. Does anyone want to say anything about how you prepare or anything? You are welcome to say that as well if you want.
Yeah, it doesn't. The questions don't necessarily have to be about the 11+.
Yeah, or just talk about your child, or
When will be the PowerPoint be available? Somebody's asking. So what's the plan, Biju? Are we going to email them, or are you going to put it?
Yeah, I've taken down all
the email IDs. Yeah, probably we can email them then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just put a Google form there as well. Yeah, that's a feedback form, is it?
Yeah, that's a feedback form. So once you do the feedback, the good point is like these kids, those who are presented, they'll get a feedback and then they can improve. And even for us, it is a good thing to
good learning curve.
Good learning curve for us, and
Yeah.
for them also that is a good documentation for them to have something for their teaching. Second thing is we will get that email address when you fill the form, and then it will be easier for us to send it the presentation, PowerPoint presentation to you. Other thing I already explained, like I will try to upload the whole meeting into our UUKMA youth channel. We got a youth channel which we recently started just for this purpose. So we'll upload those things, the whole video into that YouTube channel. And we will and Rashmi will send whatever she.
Yeah, there is. Sorry, Pichu, there's one more question. How do you prepare your child for SATs exam? If you're doing 11+, you don't have to prepare your child anymore in year 6, in my opinion. But
yeah, that's true. Lots of our students have told us, once you've done 11+ exam,
you
then
don't need to.
it's just like it's like a peanut for them.
Yeah, I know. It's nothing. Even if you don't study and you just go right after a year, your child is going to be on the top. So no worries there. But if you have not prepared for 11+, then you need to, on the SATS website, there is all the past papers available. Make your child do it in English, in maths, in punctuation, so that they get used to the SATS questions. And that's the only thing. And read. and again look at the areas where they struggle in maths and teach them. That's the only way to do science.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Then we can.
Yeah, probably I'll just give Tracy a quick ring. Yeah, if you want to carry on, I'll try to ring her and see if she can join us.
Okay.
Yeah, there is one more. No questions.
I checked the Facebook. There is no particular questions in that Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll wait for Raymond. So whether Tracy can join or if not, then
If anyone has any questions about, well, it doesn't have to be necessarily about the exams. If it's just, life at a grammar school, what's it like?
Yeah.
Or Rishikesh would,
general GCSE or A levels.
yeah, we'd be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, it's just my observation that whatever you study now, definitely carry forwards, especially for your English learning into comprehension. And these comprehensions which you do now will help you analyze Shakespeare plays better in the senior classes. I don't know which Shakespeare plays you're currently studying at Bates, but one thing which teachers mention is many times when students analyze the Shakespeare plays, they analyze it just as if they're analyzing stories, whereas they should be considering it as a drama. There's a stage, there are characters involved. So would you like to share some of your experiences there, Adele, Hirshi?
And also there is a question for them. How long did you spend preparing for 11 plus? A bit more life about life of a student in Bates. So Adil, if you could, and Rishi.
Well, I was going to say with what you said, in terms of analyzing texts and things, I would definitely say it was very good because it kind of sets you forward for English, like when you're doing them in class, because obviously for the 11 plus, you have to be able to kind of scan it for key piece of information and then be able to answer good questions on it. So when I was doing, I think we had to do Romeo and Juliet. So when we were doing that, I found the skills I gained from revising for the 11 plus, it was definitely very useful because I could just use that, and then because it was already there, I just had to develop it more and more so I get more comfortable with it. But it was good because I felt I was a lot more in my comfort zone and I didn't have to push myself too much to try and analyze these plays and things.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rishi. Yeah, it's quite motivating.
So yeah, Adele and Rishi and Angel, they're asking when did you start your preparation and how long you studied, things like that.
I started my preparation in year 4. I went to Tracy's in year 4, and in year 5 I studied at home. I think I studied for 1 hour each day. I spent 1 hour with good quality revision, going through questions in year 4 and year 5, and going through textbooks. And then I spent days where I would just do mock exams with my friends. So therefore the friendly competition, the motivational boost. And I also spent some days just going through how to calculate and how to work things out in maths, especially because maths was one of my weak points. So I had this book that explained how to do everything, and that really helped with getting a good result in the end.
Yeah, also some parents are scared that how do we teach according to the way the teachers are doing in the school, right? Don't worry, they have loads and loads of videos, maths videos, how to teach them. You could go through that and then teach your child, And there's one more question about how does sharing the results help?
Oh yeah, I can pick that up. That up. Yeah. That's when you want your child to write in more than one counties, I guess, who are asked the question. So we do get some children, writing exams. So now it's all GL. So if it's on the same date, the exam in 2 counties, that means it's going to be the same paper. So that means you can choose which county you want to take the test, and then you can mention in the application form that you want to share the results. Say, for example, you're taking the test in Gloucester, but you want to share the results with Berkshire, right? So if it's at the same day, so they will share the results will be the same thing. So they will take the same results to 2 counties, and according to their scores you need, they will take that into account. So it's possible that you can share the results in different counties. And if it's on a different date, again, then that means you have to write exam twice. If it's like 1 week here in Berkshire and then the next week in Gloucester, that's the case, then you have to write 2 exams. Otherwise, you can share the results.
Yeah, if the dates clash for different counties, don't worry. Call up the school, tell them that my dates have clashed because we are giving a different exam. They will provide another date for you.
Yeah, I think someone has asked about what life is like at Pates. Well, I mean, I'd say, I mean, immediately, I think the first thing that you realize when you come to Pates, I don't know whether it's the same for Angel and Rishikesh, but it's really kind of a sense of community. It's because when you're all kind of in the same boat, it's really, really quite good. And you meet a lot of like-minded people, which is really, really good. And it's a good chance to like network, make friends. And I mean, in terms of the teaching, I mean, I guess as you might expect from a grammar school, Pates are really thorough. But one thing that they do really well is that you never ever feel at Pates like that you're forced to do well, if you get what I mean. Like, they're not like, okay, you must get this grade, you must do that, because I feel like that would kind of have the opposite effect of kind of on this wanting students to achieve high, is kind of to motivate them as like saying kind of like a positive reinforcement. Whereas, because initially when I first heard about a grammar school and it's people who are just getting like really good grades, I'm thinking, oh, okay, there must be some really strict regime in order to do that. But it's really, really nothing like that. And again, some of the facilities they have and the opportunities that they give because of kind of their reputation and their standard, I'd say it's really, really, really useful. And yeah, I don't know if Rishikesh or Angel have anything more to say, but that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with what Adele was saying, because initially it was quite a daunting kind of aspect, knowing that you'd be going to like a really good grammar school and you didn't know whether you'd be feeling like not very comfortable. But I guess the environment, because the teachers are like well, in Pates anyway, they're very like caring, and they definitely make sure that all your like needs are well looked after and everything. So all like the worries that I had about whether I would be doing well in that kind of environment, it was all like it all slowly faded away as I went to Pates.
Yeah, there's always a teething time, isn't it? After that, the child does come through. So don't worry. Okay, shall we wrap it up then?
She has just reached home. So let me give her a quick ring. She's come because she was stuck in traffic from Swindon to Cheltenham. So I don't know if anyone else has anything else to say. Adele, any other tips? Then carry on.
Yeah.
By the time I just
just to extend what Adele and Hushi just said, that reminded me of something which the Pates head teacher mentioned when we went for one of the open days. He was saying, does anybody know what makes us different from the rest of the grammar schools? And then there was a silence. And then after that, he said, we just give our students a lot of freedom to explore and invent for themselves. We treat them like responsible individuals who can learn and evolve themselves. And we give them plenty of time to spend in the libraries and wherever they want to spend in a positive way. So I hope it is correct, Adele and Rishi and Angel.
100%, yes.
Yeah. Who's the head teacher now?
So Mr. Ellicott is currently acting headmaster, because he was headmaster for I think 11 years, and now he has stepped down. So he is currently in acting headmaster until they can find a replacement.
That's good. I think it was Mr. Ellicott who said this.
I would
actually.
imagine so, because yeah, he's been flustered for the last 11 years. He's been headmaster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that quote from him made the school really stand out. Actually,
Yes, he's a very good speaker. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I've just spoken to Tracy. She's just back home, and she just had a very stressful drive. Like she was stuck in traffic for an hour. I said it's fine. Yeah, so I guess no one has any specific question for Tracy, but I work with Tracy, so I think I have covered most of the stuff we do anyway. But if you have any particular questions, please feel free to send the message. I can always get Tracy to answer if there's anything in particular you want to ask. Otherwise, we wanted to thank Dr. Biju for giving us an opportunity to, sort of present this. And big thank you to Reshmi as well, because, I met her only while finding out, is there any other Malayali person, doing 11 plus
I was so terrified that I might have to speak in Malayalam, and then but Raymol said no. I'm very glad I did this. I'm very glad.
It's a good experience for us as well. I think it's the first time we are kind of presenting to like other people than our own students and parents.
Our own students, our own parents, our own area.
It's like sharing experience, with other people and parents. It's really good. Thank you, Biju, for organizing this for UUKMA. And again, we are doing more presentations soon, and other topics as well. Like we will be doing one in IT, information technology, the latest areas of IT and things like that. And that's on 2nd of April. I think that's the next one coming up, isn't it, Biju? And we'll be doing more other career guidance programs in engineering. I think Biju has already done for medical school admission and dental school admission. So this is the third one UUKMA is doing, and thank you and congrats to Biju and his UUKMA team for doing this. They're doing a great job to help the youth, especially giving opportunity for youth like Adel, Rishi, and Angel to come up and talk to everyone. Share their experience, which is great. Helping youth in that way. So it's definitely good to help each other. Who has gone through this journey of various things. So it has been a very good experience for us as well. And thank you all for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you soon later.
So once again, thank you very much, all the presenters, Adil, Rishikesh, and Angel, and particularly our mentors like Raymond, Joe, and Rashmi. Really happy to see you all, and then thank you for helping. As Raymond said, we will be continuing this career guidance. This is the third one, and then we'll be continuing with IT. The next one would be IT, and then engineering and accounting. There are different topics, law, school. So many things are in the process of planning, and then we will advertise in this forum. So once again, thank you very much from UUKMA. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.